This video is about bringing awareness to your foot, increasing the proprioception of the foot. It's a follow along exercise, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is just stand with your feet shoulder width apart, and then just have a sense of where your foot pressure are at the moment when you're standing. Okay, just scan your foot pressure. Are you leaning more towards the right side, or are you feeling more pressure on your left side of your foot? And then are the pressure more in the front forefoot, or are they more towards the back of the heel? If you're feeling more pressure on, say, the front of the right foot and the back heel of the left foot, it can mean that you have a rotated pelvic towards the left side. And if you have the more pressure on the front of the left and more pressure on the back of the heel, it can mean that you have a more rotated pelvic towards the right side. And if you have more pressure on the front and the back of the right foot, it might mean that you have a pelvic height, so you're leaning more towards on the right side. Same thing, if you have more pressure on the front and the back of the left side, it might mean that you are hiking on the left, so you're leaning more towards the left. And if you have more pressure on both the front of the foot, it could mean that you have a sway back posture where you're a little bit posterior tilt and you're leaning forward. Okay, so if the pressure is on the front foot, it can be that you have this kind of posture, so the pressure is on the front. If you have pressure more on the back of the heel on both sides, it could be that you are anterior forward. Okay, so meaning you dump your pelvic forward, so there's more pressure on the back of the heel. Okay, so just notice where is the pressure on the foot, and then that can give you an idea your position of your pelvis. The next thing I want you all to do is to lift all your toes up and check whether your big toe is it at 45 degrees. Okay, this is to show that you have a good supination of the foot where the arch lift up. Okay, so the first exercise that we are going to do is we are going to slowly lift your big toe up. Okay, so bring awareness to the big toe. You can coordinate with your thumb, and then the 4 toes up. Some people might find it difficult to lift their 4 toes or their big toe, or they can lift it only on one side and not so much on the other side. Again, this might mean that your pelvic is a little bit out of balance, causing you have difficulty to lift your big toe or 4 toes. Okay, I just want you all to start playing with it. So lifting the big toe, lifting up the 4 toes. Just do that a few times. Just try to have a mind connection to your toes. The next thing I want you all to do is to spread your toes apart slowly. So you're just going to lift up and spread it as far as wide as you can, and then put it back to the ground and just crunch it, and then spread it as wide as you can, put it back down, and just do a toe crunch. Okay. This will help to improve your stability. And then we are going to go into pronation and supination, where the arch of the foot, pronation means dropping down, and then supination means lifting up. Okay, so just try that a few times, going in and out, in and out. I just want you to notice When your foot are going inwards, what is your lower leg we call tibia, and femur, what are they doing when you are going inwards and outwards? So pronating and supinating. Okay, pronation, when you go inwards, I don't want you to lift your fifth, the small toe up. Try to lift your small toe onto the ground and then just pronate, dropping the foot of the arch in this side. Just pronate. Notice your tibia and your femur are internal rotating. Okay, they are going inwards. You can bend a little bit of your knees to emphasize the pronation. Okay, and when you supinate out, try not to lift the big toe off the ground. So we want the big toe and the fifth toe contact the ground, and then just lift the arch up. And notice when you supinate, you are rotating your tibia and you're rotating your femur out. Okay? And notice what your glutes are doing when you start to rotate your tibia and rotate your femur out. And when you are doing supination, you can give your glutes a squeeze. And notice your pelvic is going to tilt a little bit. So we call this posterior tucking. Okay? So when you do supination, you are tucking, and when you squeeze your glutes, you are tucking your pelvic backwards. So it's just like, imagine you have a bowl of water. When you tilt backwards, the water is pouring towards the back. And anterior tilt means you are pouring the water front. Okay? When you turn your foot out and squeeze your butt, it's pouring the water backwards. And now what you're going to do, you're going to contract your abs when you supinate your foot. So squeeze the glutes and contract your abs. Okay? So squeeze your glutes and contract your abs. Then it's going to further posterior tilt. Okay, feel the opening of the rotation of the tibia, rotation of the femur, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the abs, and then you have a posterior tilt. Okay, this is very important. When you are able to do this correctly, you can decompress all the back muscles that people have spasm when they have low back pain. Okay, and then when you pronate your foot, notice when they are going all internal rotated, your pelvic would naturally want to go into an anterior tilt position. Okay, so anterior tilt and posterior tilt. What I want is a tripod contact. So meaning contact on the heel, the big toe metatarsals, and the fifth toe metatarsals. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then I just want you to rotate towards the left and right. And as you're doing this, just notice what's going on with your foot when you're doing rotation movement. Okay. Notice when I turn towards my right, my foot is supinating and the other side is pronating. Okay, I'm lifting my arch when I turn towards the right side. And I'm pronating my left foot, meaning dropping my arch on the left side when I turn towards the right. If my foot are rigid, there's no pronation and supination. Notice my rotation of my pelvic and my upper body will be more limited compared to if there's pronation and supination going on. I don't want this kind of movement where you don't have 3 points of contact. When you have 3 points of contact on the ground and when you supinate and you pronate your foot, you're actually moving all 33 joints in the feet, okay? Okay, the next thing we are going to do, just do some ankle mobilization. Just lift your legs up. If you need support, just put your hand onto a chair or something, and then just go up and down. And just do circle. And the other way. Just do it on the same side and on the other side. This also tests your balance on your single leg. If your pelvic is dumped forward too far forward, you probably have difficulty standing on one leg. So by tucking your pelvic more when you work more on your glutes and hamstring, then it's much easier for you to stand on a single leg. So the next thing we are going to focus is just on the knees, where we are just going to put our feet together, bend a little bit, and then just rotate and mobilize the knees. Going up into the hip, raise it to 90 degrees, and then go outwards, and then go inwards. Outwards and inwards. Out, in, and then you can do a circle. And reverse it. Okay, another way of doing it, let's do it on the other side first. Out, in, to have more movement in the hip as you go out, you are going to rotate outwards as well with your foot. Okay, and then go all the way backwards and come back. So on the side it will look like this. And then you can do the reverse. And just change side. Okay, so the next one we are going to internal rotate our hips inwards. So what you're going to do, stand width apart, and then you're just going to angle your feet about 45 degrees inwards, and you're going to bring your knees together. so everything is internal rotating inwards. Okay. And then stay in this position. And this position, and then you're just going to shift. So feel the hip socket. When you shift toward this side, feel that your hip socket and your glutes, you're stretching this part of the hip, okay? So feel the stretch in here. In this position, if you're able to do the anterior and posterior tilt, try to do it a few times. So anterior tilt and posterior tucking in. The next thing we are going to do, you're going to take a step forward. So this leg, one width apart, okay, not too far apart, but just angle it at the heel line, and then just stay there, okay. What you're going to do, you're going to lean into the back heel of your back leg. Sit back. Okay, so this leg is just for supporting. About 10% of weight on this. All the weight should go on the back leg. You are hinging from your hip, so you are like as though you are pushing your hip backwards. Okay. And when you sit back, this knee either stays there or go a little bit in front while you shift back into your hip. Okay, so you feel the back of the glutes stretching. Okay, bending your knees, sitting back. Put all the weight, most of the weight into the heel of your back leg. Then now you're going to lean forward like this. So you're just going to, in the same position, feet are the same, just going to lean forward, okay? So just lean forward. And you are going to shift back this hip. And feel the weight. Now most of the weight is on your front foot, and put the weight onto the back of your heel when you shift back. So this knee will be bending as well. So shifting backwards. So come forward like this, not like this, but the sternum and the umbilicus are the same, okay? Come forward here, and then hold as though you're holding a weight. You are going to put your weight onto the heel of your front foot, and then you're going to shift back and down, or sit down. And then you feel an opening and a stretching in the back here. Okay. Now we are just going to repeat on the opposite side. So now take the other foot forward. So at about heel length, one step apart. This is called a staggered stance basically. And then again, put your weight onto the back heel. And then shift backwards. And hip hinge. Okay. Now you're just going to lean forward to the front foot now, like this. And then put the weight onto the front foot. And you're going to hinge back. Putting most of the weight in the back heel. Now just to integrate everything, just do some circle move, feel your foot pressure as you go round and round. And if you want, you can do some mobilization on the foot. So basically, what you can do is one hand cup the heel here, and then one hand in this manner, hold it here, and then you can just do this kind of rotation movement. Or you can hold it this way. So just turn it in opposite movement. You can just turn it around, or you can put your fingers in between the toes. So interlace, and then just turn it around, or you can hold the calcaneal and just turn. And then if you want, 4 metatarsals, and then just move the big toe up and down. Same thing here. Cup the calcaneal, and then just move them in opposite direction. Do some circle move. And then using your fingers, go in between all the toe space, okay? And then just mobilize it. For some people who have bunion, or if you press in between the first and second metatarsal space, so in between this area, some people might find it quite tender if you just press into this web space here. And then if you can just go mobilize it by pressing in and then going up and down. Be careful, there's some nerve, you might get some tingling sensation. Just ease off the pressure a little bit, okay? And if you have a smaller, like golf ball or just a small ball, you can just, this is very big, but as long as you have something that you can just roll. This is all bringing proprioception awareness to your foot, so that you feel more grounded and feel more supported when you're standing on the ground. And then just roll around trying to find any tender spot. And lastly, just to do some quick activation of the foot muscles, what you can do if you have a small ball in between, you can just, using this part, the heel part, just squeeze the ball a little bit, and then just do some heel raises. That will help you to activate the muscles called posterior tibialis. And you just do that a few times. Or you can do single leg heel raise. If you want, you can just stretch it out, go to the wall, and then just lean forward just to stretch the gastroc. And to stretch the anterior T-bellies, all you have to do is put your legs down like this, and then just kneel down. Okay. To stretch the anterior T-bellies. And just kneel down. Or you can just stay there. Okay. That's all.